We have to talk about the seriousness of Donald Trump and the Republican Party promising to repeal the Affordable Care Act should they regain power in 2024. First of all, this isn't just bluster. This is something we have to take incredibly seriously because the Republican Party, in all of its iterations, has already tried to repeal the ACA at least 70 times. Not repeal and replace, not put something better in its place, just get rid of it. They have no alternative to what they call Obamacare. They just want it gone. And I want to be extremely clear about what will go with it should they be given the power to do so. Without the Affordable Care Act, children would no longer be allowed to stay on their parents' insurance until they're 26, and would most likely have to find their own insurance once they turned 18. There would no longer be protections for people with pre-existing conditions. So if you've ever had cancer or diabetes or MS or lupus or arthritis or kidney problems, or according to most insurance companies, if you've ever been pregnant or have asthma, then you can now be denied insurance coverage. Without the ACA to protect us, insurance companies can also bring back lifetime caps. So if you get a serious illness or you get sick as a child, or say you were born with a health condition, you will hit that lifetime cap pretty fast and suddenly find yourself uninsurable in America. The ACA allows us to compare insurance options to see which plan works best for us. It gives us the right to appeal our coverage or claim determinations, so we can't just be denied treatment without any recourse to fight back. The ACA includes rules to stop insurance companies from denying our medical payments simply because they went back and found some technical mistake on our original application. That's what insurance companies were doing before. They had people employed with the sole purpose to look for small technical errors in our applications so they could refuse to pay for legitimate claims later. The ACA made that illegal. Just like the ACA made it illegal for insurance to put a cap on things like hospital stays. Because the last thing you need when you're in the hospital is to worry that they're going to kick you out because your insurance says you've been there too many days. Under the Affordable Care Act, American citizens are protected from the very worst instincts of insurance companies, who we all know are not in the business of healthcare, but in the business of maximizing shareholder profit. The ACA expanded coverage to people who wanted to retire, but weren't yet eligible for Medicare. It increased payments to rural healthcare providers to help them keep their doors open in their communities. It protects seniors from coverage gaps and provides them free preventative care. It prohibits the discrimination against patients due to their gender or health status. It has provisions to help the poor, the middle class, small businesses. It expanded access to Medicaid for people in poverty. It includes provisions meant to help doctors tie their profits to patient care, not volume of patients. The list just goes on and on and on. Is it enough? No. Should Americans be paying the most in the world for our still deeply problematic healthcare system? Also, no. But the ACA has made it infinitely better than it was. And instead of saying yes and to try and make it even better for the citizens of this country, the Republican Party is actively campaigning to make it worse. On a personal note, I can tell you as someone with an incredibly rare lung disease, I have watched the Republicans' attempts to repeal the Affordable Care Act over the years with absolute terror. Because I'm without a doubt someone who would be completely uninsurable without the provisions that protect me. What Donald Trump and the Republican Party are proposing would sign my death warrant. It's not just that I would have to pay out of pocket, it's that I would be unable to pay out of pocket. One of my 15 medications costs $130,000 every 3 months. One medication. And I take 15. We pay a fortune for insurance and out-of-pocket costs, but without insurance, I wouldn't last 1 year. I would bankrupt my family and still die. Not because the medical community couldn't keep me alive, but because the insurance company deemed my life unprofitable. And I'm far from alone as a sick person in America. So I want to be incredibly clear that the Republican Party's plan, Donald Trump's plan to repeal the Affordable Care Act, will literally kill millions of us. Not because this country hasn't made tremendous medical advances, but because we simply won't be able to afford to keep ourselves alive. To be clear, the same party that wants to repeal the Affordable Care Act wants to force women to be pregnant. This is the same group of people who are currently insisting women stay pregnant against the advice of their doctors and would risk our infertility and our lives to comply to their will. Current laws in this country have women suffering from treatable pregnancy complications, bleeding out in parking lots until they qualify for treatment, or falling into poverty for having children they can't afford. But with the repeal of the ACA, the very act of being pregnant itself might also make a woman unqualified for future health insurance. The entire thing is outrageous and should feel completely unacceptable to you. The bottom line is the vast majority of Americans support the Affordable Care Act and don't want it repealed. So why would Donald Trump and the Republican Party be promising to do something most of us don't want? Why would they want to get rid of something that provides millions of us quality, affordable health coverage? It's because the Republican Party doesn't work for the people. They work for their donors. And their donors are the ultra-rich who don't care because they can afford the very best healthcare no matter the cost, and insurance companies who have never been happy that the ACA limited their profit. And just so you know, a lot of us with pre-existing conditions already don't qualify for life insurance. So under the Republican plan, we also wouldn't qualify for health insurance. So we have one party in America telling us that our deaths are simply the cost of doing business and our family can't even profit from it. This alone should be the single issue people vote for. It's not partisan to want to stay alive. It's not partisan to not want to go bankrupt for the bad luck of getting sick. Forget fighting for democracy. Forget the fascist bullhorn of calling people vermin and rounding people up into camps. That might just feel too far-fetched to you. It's true, but I get it if you can't get your head around it. What I'm sure you can get your head around is the greed of insurance companies and what happens if you can legally be denied coverage to serve their bottom line. People are denied health coverage all the time in this country, but without the protections of the Affordable Care Act, it will only get worse. This is what the Republican Party is promising, and you have to decide if voting for that is worth it to you. Ask yourself what issue is fundamentally more important to you than your life and the life of your loved ones, because one party is protecting and shoring up healthcare, and one party is protecting and shoring up insurance profits. And you have to decide which side you're on.